Paobi then asked Chinelo to sit on a chair specially kept for her in the middle of the room. Chinelo did as she was told, not knowing that there was a large pot of water sitting beneath the carpet, and as soon as she sat, she fell into the hot water. She screamed and struggled to get out for a while, but Paobi quickly hit her on the head with a pestle and she lost consciousness. Once upon a time, there lived a young man called Emeka. He grew up in a small village in rural Nigeria. His family died tragically in a fire accident when he was just 15, and he was left alone in this cruel world. Ever since the death of his parents and siblings, Emeka became withdrawn and he hardly made any friends. When people tried to come close to him or extend hands of friendship towards him, Emeka would always decline and go his way. As the years passed, the villagers started avoiding Emeka because of his strange behavior. One day, Emeka fell seriously ill and almost succumbed to his illness. He was bedridden and couldn't get up from the bed for 3 days. Afraid of dying, Emeka crawled and dragged himself to the front door. He opened it and called out for help, but no one came to help him. Hours later, a hunter and his son Obi were passing by when they saw Emeka lying outside his house. They came hunting from a very far away village. They helped him and took great care of him. And with time, Emeka was able to stand on his feet and he regained his strength. Pa Obi and his son would go hunting and arrive late in the midnight when Emeka is fast asleep. But Emeka always pretends to be asleep whenever he's wide awake. He noticed that whenever they arrive, they never come back carrying their game or animals killed on their shoulders like other hunters. He had told the man and his son to go hunting with them several times, but they never accept. Instead, they would ask him to stay back and watch the house. Weeks later, Paobi told Emeka that he wanted to start a restaurant business and he would like Emeka to be in charge because he's a very good cook. Since he owed Paobi his life, he accepted the offer and Paobi was very happy. They started the restaurant business in the heart of the village where travelers on long journeys often take breaks and rest. With time, people began to patronize them and sales were booming. Travelers would often patronize them as they're always open until midnight. Emeka is responsible for cooking the meals, while Paobi and his son hunt for the meat and buy the fish. One day, Emeka noticed something strange about the meat Obi always bring to him, but he always discards feeling. But that morning, aside from the fact that it tasted better than normal beef, Emeka found the meat too different from normal. Later that day, he asked Obi the type of meat he brought that morning and where he got it from, and he told him that he bought it from the famous market around them. Then Emeka went to Paobi to ask him the same question, but to his amazement, he replied that it was a lamb he killed in the forest. Emeka knew at this point that father and son were hiding something from him. A few days later, Emeka pretended to be asleep as Paobi and his son headed out very early in the morning. He followed them quietly and hid behind the trees to prevent them from seeing him. At one point, Paobi and his son hid inside the hut. They talked in whispers as Emeka watched from a distance. A few minutes later, Paobi left and returned. After hours, he dragged a woman towards the hut. The woman's face was covered with a cloth and her hands tied behind her back. She screamed and fought as Paobi dragged her inside the hut. A few minutes later, Emeka heard a loud scream and he moved closer to the hut to have a clearer look. He looked through a small opening behind the hut and found Paobi and his son butchering the woman who is now dead. Emeka closed his mouth in shock as he saw the scene before him. He quickly ran off before they could suspect what was going on. Emeka did not know what to do. He wondered why Paobi and his son would cook human meat for food when they could buy different kinds of meat at the market. He began to think that there must be a motive behind their action. By evening, Emeka was attending to customers when Paobi and his son arrived with the human meat they killed that day. He was surprised that both father and son did not look like they just killed a human being. In fact, they looked so innocent that no one would suspect them to be killers. That night, Emeka could not sleep as he began to think of how best to confront them. After a while, he woke Paubi and his son up and he told them exactly what he saw. They were both surprised. Paubi explained to him that he has customers who buy the human head and private parts from him for huge amounts of money, and he decided to open the restaurant business because the other parts usually go to waste. Emeka asked him how he got the humans, and Paubi replied that such people are usually market women who buy farm produce. He would go to them and tell them where his farm is located. He would sell for them and ask them to come out to another location the next time they are coming to buy from him. And they would believe him, thinking that he has different farms. Emeka was surprised by their strategy. He asked if they have ever been caught before, but Paubi replied that they always use different locations in different states. Paubi pleaded with Emeka not to expose them, and Emeka replied that he doesn't have the intention to do so if Paubi increases his monthly pay. Paubi then replied that he would be paying him 3 times what he earns now, but Emeka declined. He said he wanted 5 times of his monthly pay and nothing else. Paubi was surprised that Emeka was demanding for more than half of what they make monthly, but he agreed nonetheless. They continued the business and Emeka began to live large. Paubi and his son would pretend to be farmers and kidnap women and sell their body parts, and the circle continues. A few years later, Emeka established his own restaurant business and informed Paubi. Even though Paubi was not happy that Emeka was leaving to start his business, he agreed nonchalantly and gave him his blessings. Paubi was angry when Emeka mentioned that he wasn't interested in human meat when Paubi asked him how he intends to get his meat. Months later, Emeka's business began to expand and his restaurant became well known around the vicinity, while Paubi's restaurant suffered due to Emeka's absence. Many times, Emeka would pay Paubi and his son a visit and cook for them without using human meat. He told them that he had repented. He would go to the market and get meat himself and tell the father and son not to bring human meat for him again. Emeka believes that he is innocent since he is no longer directly involved in Paubi's dirty business, but he doesn't know how to stop them. He did not even report them to the police. Emeka soon became very rich and he began to think of getting married. He started dating a very beautiful lady named Chinelo. She just graduated from the university and has been posted to his village for a National Youth Service course. Emeka has seen her at his restaurants on many occasions. He met her and told her of his intentions one day, and surprisingly, she felt the same way about him. He proposed to her after a few months of dating, and she accepted, and they started preparing for their wedding. Chinelo asked Emeka to come see her parents, but he insisted that she come see his foster father, Paubi, first. He informed Paubi of his intention to settle down, but Paubi declined, asking him why he would do such, knowing that he could be putting his business at risk. Getting married may be an end to your business. Don't you think it is too soon? Paubi queried Emeka, but Emeka was so much in love with Chinelo that he told Paubi that he is willing to do anything to get married to Chinelo, even if it means quitting his restaurant business and doing something else. Paubi was shocked to hear this. Weeks later, he took Chinelo to Paubi's place and he accepted her with open arms. He asked Emeka to get his bride a cold drink, and Emeka quickly rushed out. Paubi then asked Chinelo to sit on a chair specially kept for her in the middle of the room. Chinelo did as she was told, not knowing that there was a large pot of water sitting beneath the carpet, and as soon as she sat, she fell into the hot water. She screamed and struggled to get out for a while, but Paubi quickly hit her on the head with a pestle and she lost consciousness. Paubi covered the pit with the carpet. He then switched off Chinelo's phone and threw her bag inside the hot water. He sat back on his chair pretending that all was well. Emeka returned shortly after and he was surprised that Chinelo was no longer there. Paubi told Emeka that Chinelo insulted him and left in anger when he began to ask her some questions to know if she truly loves Emeka. But Emeka was surprised because he knows Chinelo as a cool-headed and calm girl, and it is one of the reasons he wanted to marry her. Emeka apologized to Paobi and he left. He tried calling Chinelo, but her number was switched off. He continued calling her for days, but he gave up after a while. He loved her so much and wished that he had known her parents when she suggested it. He would have gone to search for her in her hometown. A week later, one of her friends who knew they were dating asked Emeka if he had seen Chinelo because her parents called that she hadn't come home in more than a week, which is highly unusual. Emeka was surprised. He replied that he hasn't set his eyes on her for days now and has also been trying to reach her. When her friend left, Emeka began to think of what could have happened to Chinelo. A thought suddenly occurred to him and he quickly drove to Paobi's place. When he got there, he asked Paobi to tell him exactly what happened to Chinelo, but Paobi replied that he had already explained what happened to him. After much pestering, Paobi told Emeka that he used his wife-to-be Chinelo as meat when he found out that he was ready to do anything to marry her. Paobi told Emeka that he killed his own wife when she found out that he sells body parts and he never got married since then. Women are deceptive and they are evil. I have told you many times, but you refuse to listen, Paobi advised Emeka. Emeka began to cry at this point as Paobi narrated how he killed Chinelo and sold her body parts to interested buyers. He told Emeka to be strong, but Emeka got up in anger. He charged towards Paobi and began to strangle him. Obi was outside the hut resting and he heard the struggle and ran inside. He hit Emeka on the head and he fell on the floor, losing consciousness. Paobi and his son dragged Emeka to the forest and they tied him around a tree. When Emeka opened his eyes, he saw them and he began to scream. They laughed at Emeka. Paobi called him an ingrate for trying to kill him because of a woman, and he told him that he would kill him for that. As Paobi moved close to Emeka, he continued to scream at the top of his voice. Luckily for him, two hunters were nearby. They followed his voice and found him. Paobi and his son ran off at this point. The men told Emeka that they were searching for a market woman who told her husband that she was looking for a farmer who came to sell for her at the market. Emeka told them that the farmer is his captor and they ran after Paobi and his son. They soon caught up with them and took them to the king. When they got there, the woman's husband explained that Paobi was at the market a few days back and he tricked his wife into coming to his farm and she has not returned since then. The king asked his guards to check Paobi's hut and different items of missing persons were found there. His big pot of hot water for cooking the victims was also found. The villagers descended on him when the guards arrived with the items, but the king stopped them and handed them over to the police. Emeka was treated as a victim at first until Paobi told the policeman that he was Emeka's foster father and he knows what he does for a living. The police then asked Emeka why he never reported Paobi and his son before that time, and he replied that he didn't think it was necessary until they killed his fiancee, whom he loved so much. The police arrested Emeka too, and they served the same term of life imprisonment together. This story teaches us that what goes around comes around. When you see evil, do not turn a blind eye or blackmail someone for it. Report it and have a clear conscience. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.